Let me ask you an honest question. Think back exactly 2 years. Have you become the person you intended to be? If the answer is no, you are likely carrying a heavy sense of frustration. You probably assume this failure comes down to a weak will. We tend to view discipline as a personality trait, something you are either born with or you aren't. But discipline is actually a structural system. It has a foundation, it has components, and right now yours has a bug. This diagram illustrates exactly what happens when a system crashes. You set an intention, say waking up at 5 a.m., and you fail. Immediately, the weight of guilt drops onto your mental pathway. You start thinking, I can't stick to anything. That guilt bends your behavior toward a new node, avoidance. Because that emotional heaviness is still in your subconscious, your brain wants to avoid the pain of failing again. On your next attempt, you subconsciously sabotage yourself to avoid the guilt of another failure, and you lock into an infinite loop. We often tell ourselves that feeling bad about our failures will push us to do better next time. The mechanics show the opposite. Guilt requires massive mental energy to process, leaving you exhausted and forcing your brain to avoid the task altogether to stay safe. Indiscipline is not a moral failing or a sign of weakness. It is a system error caused by an uncleared emotional error lock. To fix the machine, we have to clear out the corrupted data. Think about how a business owner looks at a ledger. If there is a financial loss, they don't sit down and cry over the book. They analyze exactly where the money went. We have to apply this exact same diagnostic patch to our habits. You start by writing down every failed habit attempt without any judgment. Thoughts in your head are fluid, constantly shifting into emotional excuses. Writing them down converts that fluid emotion into solid, tangible data you can observe. Once it is on paper, you look for the mechanical reason you failed. You might realize you didn't quit the gym because you were lazy. You quit because you hate lifting weights alone, or because deciding to wake up 5 hours earlier than usual was an unrealistic timeline for your body. By shifting from emotional thinking to investigative thinking, you stop blaming your character and start finding actual friction points. Acknowledging these real obstacles generates self-compassion, which is more sustainable than shame. This logical auditing process acts as a system wipe. It clears the guilt trap and creates the clean slate needed to build new habits. With the internal audit providing a clearer view of why you've stalled, you can begin to restructure the world around you. Your environment dictates your behavior far more consistently than your willpower does. This schematic shows how we manipulate physical space. Decrease friction for desired habits by preparing gym clothes the night before, creating a downward slope. To kill a bad habit, increase friction. Put your phone away, creating a barrier. Even with a good environment, your brain processes large, unfamiliar tasks as a threat. If you tell yourself you are going to study for 3 straight hours tomorrow, your brain sounds the alarm and prepares to resist. You bypass that alarm system by shrinking the target. Instead of a 3-hour block, you commit to reading just 2 pages. The micro version slips past your brain's defenses. Once you start, the momentum builds naturally, and those 2 pages often turn into 10. Still, at the moment of execution, the part of your brain that craves comfort will try to hijack your intelligence. It will supply logical-sounding excuses, like, I stayed up late, so I need the extra sleep, to convince you to procrastinate. To counter this, you install an if-then script. If the alarm rings, then I immediately put on my shoes. You pair this with a 3-second rule. The moment the trigger happens, you act within 3 seconds. You do not give the brain time to generate an excuse. By engineering your physical space and using micro-automation, you minimize the need for constant, exhausting willpower. You are shifting the burden from your mental reserves to the system you've built. Environment and automation are powerful, but they are still tools for chasing goals. Goals have a finish line, which means the habits attached to them are fragile. For permanent discipline, we have to move toward identity-based thinking. I want to start working out is a goal-based desire. It requires constant effort to keep the flame alive. I am a person who prioritizes my physical health is a core belief system. Adopt a healthy identity, and small actions bombard the central node with evidence proving your belief. But negative identities are destructive. The node turns dark, repelling positive actions and absorbing negative emotions, eventually causing the entire habit structure to collapse. This creates a top-down chain of command. A stable identity guides how you shape your environment, which in turn regulates the friction of every action. By auditing the emotional error log and engineering a frictionless environment, you stop fighting your nature. Discipline stops being an exhausting daily battle and seamlessly becomes your default operating system.